live. Or not?
Yeah.
Are we live?
Live? It says live.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Welcome everyone. We are here at the Graphic Matters Festival in Breda. And today, my name is Thomas Daan. I'm from Moiré, and today I have the pleasure to talk with the co-founders of Civilization, Gutch and Micheal Ellsworth, and they are co-founders of the multidisciplinary studio Civilization. And Micheal and Corey, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you.
I'm really glad to.
It's good to talk again.
Yeah, we just did an interview. I think it was in March.
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah, we did an interview via Skype, so that was awesome. So now I have the pleasure to meet you in real life. And I'm really intrigued in your studio name, Civilization. And can you tell a little bit about the name and what inspired you to name the company like that?
When we started, Corey and Gabriel Stromberg, our creative director, who is not with us at the moment in Breda, he's in Sydney, we were really bonded over history and design history and collaboration and how ideas come together and they collide to make better ideas. And we really wanted a name that represented that.
Yeah.
And over the years, we've really focused on that. And we've kind of came up with this little mantra lately that design is a collective human act. And we feel like that name really lends itself to that idea that we're building on things, we're building on the history, hopefully adding to it that conversation and liking to look at the history of
right.
design.
Yeah, we are in the history right now, but I have a question about your logo. There's a zigzag form around it. What's that? Why is it?
Oh, it's a chevron shape, but actually it was first spotted in petroglyphs. Do you remember where that image was from?
Yeah, we were looking at cave drawings and petroglyphs and around some of the first graphic design.
So it's
first
really,
communication.
Yeah. So it's really relating, like with the name, relating to the history of making graphics in primitive form.
In that like hand carve, but then in a vector execution.
Right,
so
it's nice. Yeah, I really
that
like
evolution
it. Yeah.
From pen to computer.
And in your studio statement, you say that your studio is rooted in social change. How did this came? Is it also coming from the name and focusing on that?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's more about just sort of how we each member of the studio kind of lives our life and how the types of things that we're interested in and what we want to do with our work. I think.
And the types of projects that we take on are with partners and clients that have a shared ethos. And then when we do projects with our curatorial or cultural programming, it's really about has a social edge to it, like a way to show how people throughout history and people currently are using design as a way to spark change or get people thinking.
And how do you
people?
Sorry. And how do you balance that between like your projects, your self-initiated projects, and your commissioned projects?
Oftentimes with our self-initiated projects or projects that we do where we're actually donating time to a client, those projects lead to other sort of commissioned projects or projects with clients that share that ethos and want to do interesting work. So
and the cultural program is really integrated into our day-to-day, and it's really a lot of research for us, like learning about these wonderful designers and artists and people that inspired us throughout the ages, and then it's a way to connect with them, either bringing them to town in our lecture series or having podcasts with them, or it's a way to show their work if maybe they're no longer with us. And those types of projects, those self-initiated projects, has really led to a lot of opportunities, not necessarily financial, but just opportunities of being here right now and meeting people like yourself. And it's also lent itself to being all the design work we did for our own self-initiated lecture series is now part of the permanent collection of the MoMA. And those opportunities, I don't feel would have ever happened if it wasn't for, you know, taking a risk on those,
Right.
and just figuring out how to maybe fund them through sponsorship or donations. But it's really, you know, it's really opened a lot of interesting doors for us.
So in a way, it's also interesting because you have like just do it attitude. Maybe it's strange to use the Nike term, but you know, but it's like more like, okay, we stand for this and we really want to do it, and then we just go for it, and then so that's something that I really admire in like how you present all the projects that you make.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's really a lot of those projects. It's like we feel that this should happen, and so let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Well, and it's also a way for us to kind of exemplify what we stand for, because another thing that a lot of our work does, and we didn't realize this till a few years ago, is that it really encourages people to be courageous. Like a lot of the platforms we build with the death over dinner and the drugs over dinner talks, it's like really it's trying to help people be courageous, and not fearless, but courageous. Like I have something, I need to say it. And so these self-initiated projects are really courageous as well. Like we have a point of view and we want to say that, or we want to connect with these people. So it takes that courage to do it.
Yeah. So through those projects, you also empower other people to be part of it and to go over to meet other people and just be part of a new group of
just
make new friends.
Make new friends.
And it takes courage to connect with people.
Right.
You know?
And
so it's just a lot of it just feels good to do all this stuff and to make that courageous move and have it land correctly.
Yeah. And is it something that, like, from yourself, are yourself like people that are easily connect with other people? Are you like a little bit, you also need a little bit of a push to go?
Well, we're all pretty different.
I need a little push sometimes, but
I'm a bit of a social animal.
I also think that, like, for example, with this dinner, it's like it's also a way for you to push yourself into the community or to try things out and see how that works.
And we all have to take risks.
Right.
And the thing about a risk is it can fall flat, and it has. We've failed a lot. We've fallen flat a lot with things, but then you learn and
you do it again, and then it improves, and but that's great. So we are now here in the Design of Dissent exhibition, which previously was in your own gallery, Non-Breaking Space in Seattle. And can you tell what the exhibition is about?
It is about the design of dissent. Sorry, didn't mean to be a smartass. No, it's a prolific works of graphic design from the 60s to today.
Yeah.
And it originally was curated by a book and exhibition was curated by Milton Glaser, one of our heroes, in Miracle Illich. He was amazing. And it was in 2004 in response to the Bush's second inauguration.
Right.
Love that book. When Trump unfortunately came into office, or was on Inauguration Day, the election results.
When he was elected.
We were sitting around the studio. There's a lot of tears, there's a lot of anger, and we were trying to figure out what to do. And our partnership and outreach coordinator, Molly, came to us with this book and was like, hey, what about this? And we looked through it and we reached out to them, and they were like, yeah, that's sitting in the basement of the School of Visual Arts in New York. And we reached out and they were very gracious and very open, and we asked if we could add some pieces. And the original book is by category. It's by social category, equality, etc. But we wanted to rearrange it and put it in chronological order, starting with the First Things First manifesto, then ending at the James Victory Fuck Trump piece. So, and while we were doing that, while I was on the walls, we realized it's like we're still protesting the same things. We're still fighting those same fights.
Right.
So it was really an honor to be able to do that, and then to be able to send it to Breda.
Yeah. So, and it's obviously in a different setting, and Graphic Matters added some works and like from Europe and I don't know, maybe also from the Netherlands. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And they also created more context around it. How do you, what do you think about this edition?
I think it's great. I was not expecting, I didn't know that what they were going to be doing, and that around the room, they've added these, historical moments, with photographs and a timeline to sort of give context to what the work is about in a lot of places, and I think it's amazing. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all the additions. It's amazing. I love the Jean Julian, the iPad, the Instagram, because we all remember those moments of after the bombing in Paris. Put that on your profile pic, and I'm a big fan of his. I just think they did a really great job. I love how they created.
I was going to say I love how they presented it. So in our gallery, it was all around the walls, and then here you kind of move through the space and you discover the pieces like they're behind these sort of slatted walls throughout. I think it's great.
Yeah. So, and are there any works that you particularly like, or you want to talk about more about, because you are very favorite of the First Things First piece by Ken Carlin?
Well, back to the first question, when we were starting the studio, First Things First really kind of kept bubbling up. It's a manifesto that graphic designers, visual communicators, and people should not only use their means and methods and talents to sell products, but to also help create a greater awareness in the world.
There's a responsibility that comes with the skill and the media in which you work.
And just love that we got to have that in our gallery, and that we got to host Ken Garland 2 years ago to Seattle. It was a true honor to just be able to connect with that history, to be honest. And it's just like, wow, this is really.
And do you still use this message in your daily life, like every day, or for example when it was in your exhibition, so you could look at it every day?
I'd walk into work.
But did you also I can imagine that if you walk through the exhibition every day, then like your perception of the work changes, or you get you see other layers that are in the works. Did that happen? Or?
Oh, totally. It was great. Like, one, walking into work every day, or being stressed out and walking out of work, or whatever you're by the show, and it just changed the attitude of the studio. And it's our new space. So we moved our studio after Corey and I were in our old studio for 9 years, and then we moved into the new space with the gallery, and it was just amazing to sit with that work and work with around that work, but also giving a lot of student tours and starting to talk about the work and seeing how non-designers and other people were responding to it. I totally started to see the work very differently.
And did it, since you were in there, I think it was 4 months or something, did it in this period change the way you worked? Or you used it when you were working on a client project or another project, and you had I saw this, and then you could reference it to you could more contextualize it, or
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
But I think there was something through osmosis about being around that. And also
definitely.
Our clients and partners would come in and have to walk through the gallery to go to our meeting to brainstorm their project. So I think there was, I can't draw a linear line from that shape and X poster ended up in this logo or something. But I think just being around it, inspiration seeps in.
So, and Corey, for you, is there a particular work that you really fond of? Or?
I'm really fond of the Silence Equals Death poster, the work, and then the Grand Fury Read My Lips shirt. I think those are important works that weren't included in the original Design and Dissent book and exhibition, and they're important. And I think those are really good. And then I guess I'm also proud of the Shout Your Abortion work that's that's actually from Civilization and now included in the exhibition.
And the new book.
And the new book.
The new book that just came out this week.
Oh wow, really?
I think so.
Okay. And can you tell a bit more about the Shout for Abortion project?
Yeah, so Shout Your Abortion is a project that was started by a woman named Amelia Bono in Seattle. It was started around the time that Congress was voting to defund Planned Parenthood, and a lot of that action was taking place because of propaganda from the far right anti-choice movement that the organization Planned Parenthood in the U.S. was selling baby parts on the black market. So like this fake lie propaganda media was actually influencing real politics, and she was pretty much fed up with the fact that narrative and that the story about abortion, or the sort of conversation, was really being told, and it was in the hands of the far right and the anti-choice movement. So she believed that it was time to take that conversation back, and made a post on Facebook about her experience with abortion, and that it was it was good, and it changed her life, and it was helpful for her. And then her friend Lindy West, who's a pretty popular writer for the New York Times and the Guardian, shared that on her social media with the hashtag Shout Your Abortion, and it became this viral sort of sensation, and hundreds of thousands of women have shared their stories and are actually changing the narrative around abortion in the U.S.
And how did Civilization get involved in this project?
I think through shared friends and colleagues, and it's a small city. Seattle's pretty small, and Amelia approached us, and we immediately said, absolutely, we would love to work on this project. So
and it's been amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. You won a Wobby award with
Yes.
this project, so congratulations with that. That's really amazing, and especially because it's the public prize, not the jury prize, but the people's voice. The people's voice. So that's great.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That was amazing. But I think my favorite, accolade of that to say is that you can download a protest kit, and people all over the country download these posters, and they download this video that you can project. And someone on the anniversary of Roe versus Wade, which was the law that legalized abortion in America, projected this video on Trump Tower in New York, and that was just seeing that on Instagram. It was like that's just so powerful.
And it's also really cool. I mean, there's an abortion clinic I think it's in Memphis, called Choices, and they have the posters in their actual facility. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's really good.
It's interesting to watch it in a gallery like this setting, but to really see it in real life.
In real life. That's like it's one thing to see it in an exhibition, but then see it in real life used, and everybody's like, okay, that's a totally different story, of course. So that's also like, I think, for you as creators, very honorable, or I don't know what's the word. Like, you are surprised or honored that people wear the stuff that you have designed.
It's good to see. It's nice to see.
It's
always nice to see.
It's kind of the best thing about creating anything, right? When you just out of the corner of your eye, you see something,
you see it in the
and
world.
you're like, what? That's amazing.
And especially when it turns up at unexpected places. You at least expect it. That's really nice. So that's really good. So you are here 2 days for Graphic Matters, or 4 days, I don't know.
Yeah, we've been here a couple days.
And yesterday you had a short interview, and you also did a 2-day workshop with students. And what was the workshop about?
The workshop was, we just got done with the workshop. The
okay.
second
So
day. I'm inspired. The students were great. So it was kind of 3 schools, but St. John's here. It was their undergrad, and then their master's. And then some students from Madrid, Spain. And we worked with them for 2 days, and the concept was to actually produce a piece of social work. Could be activist, or it could just be something that engages. And the festival hooked us up with a maker lab here, which was great, because I had a vinyl plotter and printer, and
which is amazing. It's at the library, it's the public library, and they have essentially like a maker space, which is really cool.
It's great. So Corey and I gave a little bit of history, talked about some pieces in the show, and just like techniques that designers use, or visual ways to communicate messages, and then kind of set up a way to evaluate that work in a way that's like, how disruptive is it, how engaging is it, and then we worked with the students to come up with social topics, and we landed on 4 topics and broke them into 4 groups. And one of the topics was climate refugees.
Right.
Because we found out that an issue happening in Europe and kind of globally is this national pride that wants to not have refugees entering the country, or any country, because it disrupts culture and takes away jobs. But we're living in a time where more people are displaced than ever before on this planet, and it seems to only be getting worse. And we also found out that the Netherlands is technically under sea level.
Right.
So
definitely.
it might be one of the first.
Yeah, that's
so the likelihood of actual environmental refugees from the Netherlands is very likely. Yeah.
So it's possible that we are going to be like refugees in a couple of years.
Right. So we came up with this conversation that was really just like impactful. It was like, well, closing your doors today, you're hoping someone else opens their doors for you tomorrow. Yeah. So maybe you should be empathetic to that. Yeah. So they did this project on that, and they're working on this. It's kind of it's not lenticular is not the right word, but you see it from this way and that way. It's like folded paper. It's like it's like a DIY lenticular.
Yeah.
One of the other.
Well, another project that one of the groups wanted to address was patriarchy, and so they chose to come up with these sort of questions that are posed to the viewer of the work, which is, how do you relate to, for instance, a prostitute? How do you relate to a refugee? How do you relate to a trans woman? And originally the idea was going to be these sort of posters that just pose that question, but then the group came up with the idea of, well, what if it was actually a mirror, and so it's a reflection of yourself? And so then the idea came up, like, well, why don't we put those on the mirrors in the bathrooms of the Graphic Matters exhibition? And so that's happening.
They're installing them.
They're installing them probably right now.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that's so nice.
Yeah. And then we had 2 other groups that were really great ideas too. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it was about echo chambers, social media, how we kind of get caught into this us versus them mentality, and then about censorship, where fortunately a lot of the countries that we all live in, censorship is not that big a deal. But there was students from China. Yeah. And there were students from Turkey, and that is a big deal. Where protesters,
Okay, so it sounds amazing.
It was seriously, the students blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like they were
smart.
just quick and just did it, and the ideas were great, and the execution. I mean, we're big fans of Dutch design, but just seeing it from a student, like, just just that layout choice you did right there in your 10-minute presentation was like
really good.
Yeah,
really good.
Spot on. Yeah. Okay. That's crazy. So actually, I want to go back to this thing that how did social media, like you are in this with the studio also, like in this activist round, and how did social media or technology change the way this spread around the world for you, or how do you look to that? It just popped up in my mind, this question.
From our perspective, or
from your perspective, like for the projects you work with, and how and also like for because we hear Liz McChristen talk about this this technology thing, like with silkscreen printing, that it is like non-traceable and using a computer and stuff like that. And I was wondering, what's your take on this?
Well, the author of Visual Impact.
The author of Visual Impact, yes.
She was fantastic. She gave a lecture earlier today that was very inspiring on that. And her stance, just to maybe frame this for me to answer. Was from what my understanding, what was really interesting is that the poster has proven to outlast digital files, because digital files delete, and she said this.
The formats become obsolete is what happens, unfortunately. But
and she has this phobia of deletion in the digital world.
Yeah.
Which I thought was just I've been thinking about that all day.
Yeah, it's great.
And how things like the poster, screen printed posters, and things last. And Banksy, that was interesting. That like Banksy's things, because they're protected now, like last over maybe images on the internet. But on the flip side of that, from a connection point of view, and from a democratic connection point of view, that's where I find social media to be really, really beneficial, and the internet to be beneficial.
Yeah, the reach is just so much greater that, I mean, I think it's just a trade-off, perhaps.
Yeah. Earlier you mentioned this project that there was a first sentence, and then you could write in to find local people to support the project.
Oh, one of the pieces in the show.
Yeah, it's in the show. I forgot the name.
Seymour Schloss, and he has a few pieces in the show. We reached out to Seymour, and that was very gracious of him. Yeah. And one of the shows is for a peace march that was organized in the 80s, pre-social media, and in the poster, it has all the information of the poster, and then the bottom. And I didn't even notice this till we were hanging the show.
So maybe that's an example of where the work changed as you were viewing it.
Yeah, we're hanging the show. I was like, what? It says local contact, : and then a space to write it in. So this peace march that attracted literally 1 million people, like people were writing in their contact information with a Sharpie marker to like help organize. And now you think about that, just it seems ridiculous. We use a hashtag. We can communicate in this really great way, and there is a bit of an anonymity to that, anonymousness that maybe is safer than putting, your name and telephone number. I don't know. I guess if you put your handle, whatever. But don't want to get into it too much. But it just seems like it's just instantly we can connect. Like, I post something, you post something. We see each other's posts all the time. We've been following each other for years or a year, and it's just instant. Versus, but to Liz's point, maybe some of this work might disappear if it's only digital.
True. And also she makes this point of being non-traceable. Like if you're really activist, or you are in a war zone, or you are somewhere else, and you are not traceable. So that's also like a very good point to address.
Like the source of a screen, like a screen print, the source can't really be traced.
Exactly. So you only can trace the people who are hanging it out or distributing it. So I find this very interesting that it comes across now over and over again, because this change of technology and makes it easier or not. I'm thinking about that.
But it's that's what I also love about looking at the history of graphic design in general, but especially this exhibit. It's the idea, it's the execution of that idea, that message, and the medium for that message, execution, design could be a variety of things. It's wonderful to see the actual print and like hold it in your hand for 1968. Right. Because for me, I only saw that online. But it still has that punch online. Like Silence Equals Death, you still look at that poster online. It's like, that's a great piece of graphic communication.
It's a simple black poster with a
pink triangle, and just white type.
Like it's just timeless and universal.
So is that? I also asked this question earlier to Liz. Like, is there some kind of a language, like how simple or how complicated should be or could be an activist poster, or a poster that activates you, or touch you in your heart, or
like how simple should it be?
Or what kind of elements are there for you that should be in it, or should it be in a certain language, or it doesn't matter, or it depends on the cause. I don't know.
Well, I feel like the most universal as it can be, the more people you're going to reach.
Right.
And with that, generally the simplest sort of image. I mean, like over here, we're seeing some pretty effective posters, and there's just like silhouettes with color.
In Arabic, we can't read, but we know that there's 2 numbers. So July 20, 2012, with a man with a cleaver behind his back with children. And like that says a lot, and we don't know what the message really is, but it's communicating.
You can read the pictograms
and the color. It's
this poster that, sorry, everyone can't see it, but it's Donald Thornton. That's Refugees Welcome, and it's a chain link fence. Everyone understands a chain link fence; it's a barrier. But then what's actually cut out of the fence is the shape of a heart, which means welcoming. So it's just that's pretty universal. I think anyone without even being able to read it, would understand it's, let's like break down the barriers or cut through them.
Yeah, right.
So,
and it's also like with the Jean and Juliet
the peace symbol.
icon. Yeah.
They're just universal.
Yeah.
They really just capture so many things in its communication.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's like this universal, like a simple universal language that communicates from a far distance immediately without text or limited amount of text, like a slogan, for example, or which works best, or at least.
But then, for me personally, my favorite is when it has that simplicity, but it also has layers. And not to like go on and on about silence equals death, but there's so many layers to that, with the reclamation of the Holocaust.
Can you before you explain it, can you describe the poster?
Yeah.
How many times this weekend?
But nobody's.
No, that's funny.
So
maybe it's in the booklet.
It is in the book.
Okay, maybe we can.
So
we can show.
I'll explain it while you find it.
Okay.
It's a black
Yeah.
background.
It's this one.
There you
right?
go.
This one.
That one, yes.
This one, yes.
But to break this down, pink triangle pointing down was the marking of the Holocaust of gay men.
It was the patch that homosexuals were forced to wear in Nazi concentration camps. Was an upside down pink triangle.
Yeah.
So they reclaimed that but pointed it up. Silence equals death was in response to the Reagan administration not even uttering the words AIDS
Publicly,
AIDS
and like I think it was 23 to 30,000. I can't remember the exact number right now. People had been diagnosed with AIDS worldwide before they had even like said anything yet, and it's crazy.
So silence equals death by the government, silence, but also if you don't speak out, that if you have it and you don't say it, someone else's death, and silence equals death by being silent.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's really,
and it's still so relevant today, even outside of the AIDS crisis. Silence equals death is a slogan. Like if we don't stand up and speak out against the atrocities.
Yeah.
So like to me that is just like such an amazing piece of communication.
Yeah.
And you don't need to know all those layers for it to work. But when you do, it's just like, wow. Mind blowing.
So it's also
very
like
effective. It's very effective.
But it's also like the graphic play that you can it's a creative play that you can do while designing. Like just to use strong colors, strong contrast, and then simple message.
Yeah, and I mean design is a really series of decisions. So if these decisions that you're making are all rooted in like meaning and history and empathy, and then you just like whittle it down to like almost a haiku, put that out there. It's like, it's so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's amazing. So I have to digest. So let's go to something lighter. How do you like the festival, the Graphic Matters Festival so far? Like totally different question now. I'm so sorry.
I'm an instant fan. I hope to be able to at least come back or participate in 2 years, right? It's every 2 years. Yeah. And this town, Breda, is just amazing. We were just talking about how relaxing.
Yeah, I like it here.
It's really. This is my first time to Europe.
Yeah.
And,
really?
Yeah. So
welcome.
Like, I'm into it. Yeah.
Yeah. And are there any personal highlights from the festival of projects that you have seen that you really would like to highlight next to this exhibition we're in?
Oh, the inflatable refugee?
Right.
Just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
This giant inflatable child in a life jacket.
Yeah.
That is...
Is it a child?
Or maybe it's not a child.
That's
up for interpretation.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
No, I don't know.
I saw it as a child. Maybe.
Okay. Maybe
I'm
it
also
is.
missing my child. So maybe
maybe that's
also the Tolerance exhibition by Mirko Illich outside, and we have that in our gallery currently, but how they've done it here, so it's in its natural element.
Okay. Yeah, and there are more pieces. We couldn't get the whole exhibition inside of our gallery, so it's nice to see additional pieces. Yeah, just a selection of it.
just every little nook and cranny of this place is amazing.
Right.
I haven't even.
I like Ken Lo's flags that are actually all over the place, just announcing the festival. It's like those are all really fun.
Yeah, Need More Hugs. That's such a great, light but brilliant addition. Yeah, it's just everywhere is great.
Yeah.
Like, even the festival's branding and the speak out, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, speak up, shut up.
Speak up, shut up. Speak up, shut up. It's so good.
Yeah, that's true. I really like the how do you call it? Shells? The scarves.
Oh, yeah.
The scarves, yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. That's really, really great.
Yeah, Dennis and his team have done
that's
fantastic.
tremendous
Really
job.
job.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm totally with you. So yeah.
And it feels a bit like just being able to hang out with the other people doing work here, and all staying kind of in the same hotel. It feels like summer camp, so it's just an extra level of fun. It's been really great.
Yeah, I can imagine that it's nicer to meet each other in the morning or have dinner together. It's different atmosphere, and you're on holiday, so that's always good, right?
A little bit.
Of course, it's also work, but yeah. As you know, I always end my interviews with my Neon 5. Yes. We also did this before, but I just love this section. So for the people who don't know this, at the end of the interview, I will always ask for a single recommendation in 5 categories. And let's start with a book. Which book would you recommend everybody to read?
Life's Work, Dr. Willie Parker.
Oh.
Okay, and what's about that?
He's an abortion doctor that's basically making a case for abortion. So he speaks at Shout Your Abortion events regularly, and he's very inspiring. So
And you, Michael?
I'm gonna be cheesy. Visual Impact. Liz blew my mind.
Yeah. Did you get an autographed?
I did not, because we have it at the studio, and there was only 3 copies here, and I didn't want to be greedy. I wanted for other people to be able to buy it. But yeah, that's a really just after hearing your talk.
Yeah, the talk was great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So next event or conference, of course.
So we're both gonna say Graphic Matters.
Yeah, sure. I could have. We can push. You can promote your own lecture series in Seattle, which is the 12th of October.
Oh, that's not the lecture series.
No.
Not to be confused.
Oh,
because we're very confusing with all of the stuff we do. We are hosting a great designer, Paul Starr, for his new book coming out. It's his book tour, and we're hosting him at the same venue that we do the lecture series, but it's not technically a lecture series because there will not be the giant tote bags, etc. So we have to make that disclaimer.
Sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm
But his new book, he sent it to us. I haven't had a chance to read it, but I have looked through it. It's a pretty amazing two-dimensional man. So I might add that to my next time if there is a next time.
That's on a reading list, right?
It's on the reading list.
It's on the reading list, yeah. And food?
So last night, I seriously had the best chicken I've ever eaten at Barrels and Beer here in Breda.
Okay.
It was like a 6-hour roasted chicken.
They roast it in this. It's called a green egg. The first time I'd ever heard of this green egg barbecue, and it was outrageous. It was delicious. Okay. I'm gonna say the same thing.
Okay. And the one before there was the Escalada bar that was a food truck near your studio.
No, that was Gabriel. That's Gabriel's spot.
Okay.
Yeah. What was it?
The Mexican food truck.
Oh.
Yeah. Near the studio. Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he goes there like every day.
Yeah.
100%.
And movie, television, documentary.
For me, TV has been season 1 and 2 of Insecure, HBO.
Right.
Great show.
It's a new show?
Newest show, second season.
Okay.
And
that's really good.
Highly recommend it.
Okay, and it's about what?
It's just about this woman and her friend's life and their day-to-day and their friend circle, but it's just awesome.
Okay, cool. And for you?
Well, it's not really a full show. But it's about a show. But so the series Transparent, that's an Amazon show. So they've been releasing these little teaser videos that are these interviews with the characters with a life coach. Like one of them won this life coach series of sessions from some sort of auction, and then she re-gifted these life coach sessions to her family and friends, and they're just hilarious. You can watch them on like the Transparent Facebook channel and online. They're really good. So I recommend those. They're short and they're hilarious.
Okay, great.
I'm also going to recommend a movie, on Netflix that is really, it's not fun to watch.
Oh.
It's not fun at all. It's very painful to watch, but who is Roger Stone? Who is the man behind the Trump's brand campaign for, oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a painful watch, but an educational one.
Okay. Wow. Okay, I have Netflix, so let me try this. Okay, finally, miscellaneous, something for from your life that you would recommend everybody to do, like first thing that pops up.
Oh my God.
Did we do this last time?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
What do you recommend everyone do?
What do we say? Do you remember?
Oh man, it's so many things. I think, let me see. Art Basel in Hong Kong.
Oh,
That was me. I thought that was my conference
That was
answer.
your conference answer.
Man, what to do? I'd say go to a small town in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Small city in the
and
Netherlands,
drink coffee and wine outside on the sidewalk and just and ride a bicycle around.
Ride a bicycle.
Yeah.
So
Sure,
I'm
you
feeling,
definitely should do that.
feeling that this week.
Yeah. I was that that experience.
So I haven't ridden a bike in 10 years. In Seattle's like straight uphill, and people do it. A lot of people do it.
Okay.
I can't do it.
Okay.
But yeah, last night was the first time I rode a bike to Barrels and Beer. And
Great.
It was a lovely evening.
Yeah.
Great
That's
chicken.
good. Okay. And you, Corey? You had a bit extra time.
I know, but I'm kind of drawing a blank. I would say, something I guess, travel if you can.
Yeah.
If you have the means to travel, do it. It's always enriching. It's always, whenever we get to go someplace, especially even, when it's work related too, like it's very enriching for us personally as well as work wise. So,
Very fortunate to be here and do this.
Great. So one last thing. Thank you so much. But where can people follow you?
No.
At Built by Civilization on Instagram. It's our favorite channel.
Okay.
BuiltByCivilization.com. New website coming soon. Major disclaimer.
Yeah. Our current website's quite outdated. We were hoping to have it ready by the time we got here, but we had a lot of other stuff to do.
And, and then By Civilization on Twitter, because Built by Civilization was too long for the tweets.
Yeah. Oh, it was good that it was available.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
It was so nice speaking to you
Yeah.
again.
It's always
too.
great to chat.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you. Thanks all of you for listening.
Yeah, bye.
Bye, Facebook.
Bye. So let's see.